Representatives from BC Ferries and the Ministry of Transportation were in Prince Rupert on Thursday night to gather feedback on the proposed ferry cuts on the north coast.
You need to understand, we're very resistant to this. We're very resistant to people that don't live here coming here and imposing something. This ferry route is bigger than Prince Rupert. It's bigger than the coastal communities. This is the wrong way to go about doing this. And as a result, we'll be asking Premier Clark for reconsideration. I don't want to insult anybody here, but I'm not really interested in talking to anybody. We're going right to the Premier. This is a political decision. It's nothing else, and it's being handled in a very, very poor way. And if you were in my shoes, you would understand why we're objecting to this, why we're actually insulted by it. In the last 2 weeks, $24 million for a site less than 20 miles from us. We're going to get growth here that in some cases our fathers, in other cases our grandfathers dreamt about. And we're being stymied. It's not appreciated.
It's going to hurt the shore, it's going to hurt everything going on in the north. But all I can say is that right now, the district of Port Edward will be with whoever goes to Victoria to see anybody to talk to. And it will not be a friendly conversation.
Many who spoke during the evening pointed to the cost of riding the ferry as a reason for the decline in ridership.
But for those of us that live here, it's the cost of riding this ferry that's killing it. And your ridership has gone down strictly because of that cost. I and my family used to use this ferry on a regular basis, 2-3 times a year. We may use it once now if we have to, only if we have to. We avoid it, and so does everyone else, because the cost is extremely prohibitive. It's ridiculous. I can fly for damn near half the price, and I can drive for a third of the price. So where are you competing, and what are you trying to provide?
I guess my appeal is more of an emotional one. Probably about 23 years ago, I rode a BC Ferry for the first time. I was very young. And it was the last trip I ever took with my grandfather. And it was to Haida Gwaii. And I just did that trip again last month, and it touched me. And so it really hurts me when I know that currently, if my grandfather was alive and he were to take my daughter on that trip, even with inflation, he wouldn't be able to do it. He wouldn't be able to do that trip now. And so that's really frustrating for me, to know that had it been today that he had taken me on that trip, we would never have gone. Thank you.
With rising ferry rates, I feel it's about as high as it can be. In fact, it's probably too high. On a personal note, I went to Haida Gwaii this summer for a potlatch with my family. Minivan, 2 adults, 2 kids, 1 was a baby. It was over $800 by the time we got there and back. That's too much, and it's not a wonder that there's less people, less frequency now. So it's as high as it can go.
Tourism operators asked BC Ferries to hold off on any service cuts until the 2015 tourism season due to reservations already having been made.
Cancellations have already begun and will continue. Other visitors will choose not to book in the first place, choosing destinations that are more readily accessible. Northern BC will lose the ability to promote our full tourism season, reducing it to a peak travel season to a few short months. The ferry service reductions will have a far-reaching effect, but the fact that these changes are intended to occur as early as April 2014 will create extraordinary challenges for our partners and the international tour community who have already have contracts and bookings in place for 2014. They are now faced with trying to rebook clients to alternative dates, or in most cases, canceling the trips outright.
I'd say that our industry, we're marketing the 2015 season. We have already completed, we have contracts in place for 2014. Contracts have been signed and made with tour wholesalers. We've given room commitments out. We have blocked rooms for tourism, and we need to, we should be able to accommodate these things with the sailings, and the sailings and all those accommodations, all those bookings were made on the basis of the published schedule that as we knew it, that was to take place for 2014. Now it changes.
But the overwhelming message from many in attendance was that BC Ferries is part of the highway system here on the north coast and should be treated as such.
That I am completely and absolutely opposed to any cuts to Haida Gwaii. It was not us that removed the ferry system from the Highways Act. It was the province. The province may have removed it on that by legislation, but we still consider the ferry system an integral part of our highway system for transportation back and forth to Haida Gwaii.